So today we'll have Chef Chele Gonzalez from Gallery by Shell. He will be telling us a bit about what he does, as well as defining and redefining luxury through local ingredients.
Kaga kaya, mabuso naman ako nanta, kay puwan kang pamilya. Al daw banggi ang kuyang paglamon para makakualam.
Finally, I find a place that is a little bit more remote, really more connected with the pure nature.
Kasi po yun, pag halimbawa, pag ikaw ay isang aita, kung sana pong ano sa sarili mo yun, kumbaga sa dugo.
Ang tradisyon na pagluluto na gusto kong mapanatili ay yung pagluluto sa bamboo. Kasi doon mo makikilala ano ka ba, sino ka, at yun ang kultura.
Filipinos need to understand that there's a lot to be proud about.
For me, this is something magic.
That's the journey of coffee, from the tree to your cup.
The ideas that's going around in my head is I want to tell a story in a plate.
The journey is the connection with all of these trips, all of these amazing people.
Everything that I see here, everything that represents the farm, transformed into every single bite that you eat as a dish.
That is what we want to put in the table. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Kita, to have me and Gary By Chele today here. There is Carlos Villaflor, who is also part of this project from 12 years now. I'm living in the Philippines, in Manila. The name of the restaurant is Gary By Chele. But the project started even 1 year before. We started with the idea of actually be focused more in Asian cuisine. So the first idea was traveling around Asia, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, all regions in Asia, get inspired and open, a restaurant that it was, focused in the region, but not at that time much focus in local produce. This November, in 2 weeks, we are going to do 10 years. It has been a journey with very up and downs, very times difficult to survive. So we are going to celebrate, the idea of what we do. At the beginning, when we started, the name of the restaurant, it was Gary Basque. It was a multi-concept. It was a Spanish restaurant. It was a bar. It was a function room. And it's important to tell this because the first years, we were not able to survive without this other concept to generate, the incomes to survive. Naturally and gradually, in 2014, we were focused in start to use everything that it was around us, get inspired by the Philippines. And we did a menu, or we have a menu that is 90% focused in Filipino local produce. Aside of the main protein that is the beef, the rest, especially seafoods, vegetables, is what we do in the menu. And not only that, we travel a lot around the Philippines from the north to the south to every remote place. And especially we work a lot with indigenous communities. So let me show you a little bit of how we work with the communities. Okay, so as you can see, not only the ingredients is what we are trying to put in the table, is really the communities, the different cultural aspects. Everything started in 2014 when we did a trip around the country that we call it 40 Days and 40 Nights. And we start to understand the land. We understand, our biggest inspiration in the restaurant is the Philippines. It's important to say that we don't claim to do Filipino cuisine. Obviously, it's part of what we do because, aside of myself, the rest of the team is Filipino. So sometimes it's a connection, but it's about the land, about the ingredients, about the ocean, about the fisherman communities, about the seafoods. It's a very abundant in seafoods, about traditions, ancestral cooking, culture, and we have done a lot of anthropological and historical research. And in all of this process, try how to learn to be responsible and to be sustainable. Maybe at the beginning, because I look through eyes of a foreign who come new to a country, who probably don't have any social stigma or cultural barriers or limitations. I had the opportunity to see things in a very different perspective. In 2014, when we started to implement this approach of what we believe it was luxury, using local produce, we lost a lot of clients, only in 1 year. The restaurant, it was only 20 seats. Even that we got in Asia 50 Best, a lot of international awards, the average, it was only 10 covers. So financially, we couldn't make it. It was the Spanish restaurant and the bar who was giving us the financial support to do our advocacy, what we really believe. So the 5 first years, it was not a business. It was just our project. What happened after is that, slowly, it was a flip, and completely the landscape of the Philippines changed. Right now, we have a lot of new generations who truly believe and showcase Philippine produce and cuisine. And, it had been a completely, I would say, even revolution. So from survival and be one of the pioneers doing this to a complete, right now, revolution in the country. I think, Manila dining, we don't have too many people to go there. Please, guys, support us and come to the Philippines to dine, because I think something very, very magical is happening there, where, each restaurant complement each other, each restaurant help each other to give different personalities and different message. And I think, we're educating the audience. The people is open their ears and try to understand and listen and hear what is happening. And I think, this is the time that we have the opportunity to speak up. Maybe sometimes, we have amazing things surrounding us, but we are blind. We don't see. I think, open your eyes is the key of, to keep evolving. Well, this has been our message since 2014. Open your eyes, look what is in front of you, and work with whatever is around us. So this is how I feel. But now I believe in the journey something happened, and that is the time. Like cuisine, especially in fine dining, high level, or whatever we want to call it, it's like fashion. There are, trends. I think the trends of the local ingredients was really much, I think before pandemic. The pandemic, I think, created, this landscape of elite product where, it's all about sometimes, some restaurants about wagyu, truffles, a lot of imported stuff. And I don't believe in that. I don't have truffles, I don't have caviar, I don't have any of that in the menu. And I think when people goes to a restaurant and spend several amount of money, they want that. So I think it's our time, our opportunity to educate. The other day I was in the Wakan and I was eating some things that it was hyper seasonal, hyper, for a very short time of period. And for me, that is pure luxury. To have the opportunity to eat something that comes, from the endemic, communities or, jungle or whatever, that is very localized, very, seasonal, and we have the opportunity to experience in the restaurant. And in this way, also you have the opportunity to combine change the chain. So we give value, we give support to the communities, to the farmers, and also, we bring, for me, luxury to the table. So that is the question I want to leave, and we can start the conversation.
Yes.
What is luxury when you go to a restaurant?
Yeah. So shall we have a seat? Yeah. So Chef Chele, doing what you do, it's always been a bit, I would say, controversial because you are in Philippines, which also has a colonial history, and so it's, of course, it's a bit of a difficult question to ask. But have you faced any feedback from society that when they see, let's say, a Spanish chef is championing your kind of local ingredients, and was there ever an issue?
Well, yes. But I think, I like to be positive in every society. Even last night, when I post about the about the about the presentation, I have a message, that say, go back to Spain. It doesn't matter, I think what we need to be focused is in be positive. That's why during the presentation I was saying we don't do Filipino cuisine, but hey, I'm living in the Philippines and in love, I choose to be there, to be married with a Filipina, to have a baby who is Filipino Spanish. Whatever happened in my ancestral is not my fault, It's my responsibility, or I can be judged for my actions, but not because what happened in the past. So I think that had to be keeping, in the past, and look forward. Maybe in this case, sometimes foreign have the opportunity to see things from a different perspective. A lot of people were surprised why you are putting this in the menu. It's like, hey, you don't see about it. I felt when I started like this, it was like I feel like a small kid. How many chefs from US, Europe come to Asia to learn about Thai cuisine, about Japanese cuisine? If you go to all of the menus in the Western countries, have a lot of Asian influence. So I have, from the street food, from anything, I have the possibility to get inspired. So I choose that route.
Would you say it's still a very Eurocentric point of view when it comes to luxury in Philippines, for example?
As I mentioned before, 10 years ago, what happened right now is a completely different way. I think in the 5 years, as I mentioned before, financially, I mean, it was a dream. It was an advocacy project, but economically, financially, it didn't have any sense. But now, I think the new generations, they, it's so much energy, wanted to change the things, so proud, what happened in the Philippines, not only about the products, but, about the cuisine. It's a really beautiful times. I mean, obviously, yes, I would like to say that it's happening a revolution, and it's, something, a magical force is happening. We are part of that revolution. So, I mean, we are very happy, obviously.
Because if you look at the landscape right now, maybe 10 years ago, it was very much proper fine dining, white tablecloths, but now people are moving towards fine casual. And do you see that something happening with, when we talk about luxury, right? The idea of luxury has changed. So, it used to be tons of caviar, tons of, shaved white truffles and all of that. But as you said, like you don't serve any of that in your restaurant. Do you find that that your cuisine style has to change as well? Is it evolving and
Well, what we need to do is actually, I was also talking with Darren the other day about it. You need to make a sustainable business. Okay, you cannot talk about sustainability if your restaurant is not sustainable. For that, you need to be healthy financially. Okay, right now I think we are in the best moment after 10 years because we are almost fully booked every day, and we can give anything that the team needs. From a machine to 2 days off to complete the whole kitchen staff. I mean, we spend a lot of time to make people happy, and to create a happy environment. But for that, you need to be financially strong. So sometimes, we need to balance things up. We need to be mature and say, okay, this is what I want, but also this is what the business need. Where do I found, the balance in between both? I think this is key. We need to be realistic.
so also because you have ingredients from all across Philippines and Philippines is a huge country. Do you have any challenges with logistical, like, trying to bring in certain ingredients from up north or down south or
It's crazy. Sometimes I'm in Europe, and you just make a phone call and say, I want this tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then it's coming refrigerated. When we work with indigenous communities, so most of them, they had to send by bus. We need to go to the bus station and we need to go to pick it up, in a very, in a carton box. It happened a lot, and this is frustrating. We go to a very remote place. We find a very unique seafood, for example. You start to work the community after 2 months because your demand is so small for a restaurant, the magic is gone. And after a few months or few weeks, you cannot get it anymore. So there are a lot of things to do. It's just that the logistics and the engagement and maybe the restaurants be more organized to buy from these farmers or from producers or fishermen, so that the demand is enough for them to make money, basically.
so essentially that's what makes it like a luxury product as well, isn't it? It's the scarcity of it, the difficulty of getting it. Would you say that's kind of what new luxury ingredients mean?
For me, luxury is not because it's difficult, it's because it's unique. Because to eat something in a restaurant that you might not able to eat anytime in your lifetime, come on, that is, you can find caviar anywhere, but those is, just something that is amazing. I mean, it's a lot of work to put it, but I think for me, it's not, how hard is to get the ingredients. It's just, the magic of the ingredient itself. The endemic is unique, seasonal from that unique region.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We're going to take some questions. Let's see. First one, given the large income divide in the Philippines, how much systemic change can this make if the message is just going to the 1% who can afford fine dining? Is there enough demand to support farmers?
Okay, so the good thing about the Philippines, for example, if we talk about negros, everything there from the government point of view actually is becoming all organic. Okay, so using local produce and give value to local produce, starting from the fine dining, it also give value to the whole change. So if we really support that, the ones who is going to be benefit is the farmers, and in the last case is going to be the indigenous communities. If everybody plant tomatoes because it's westernized, then what's the point? So I think it's just to extend and change the perception of the whole society, not only the people who can afford.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I agree with that as well. So how are you educating your audience to embrace cuisine made from local ingredients?
Again, our role, there are other restaurants right now that, they are really Filipino and bringing Filipino culture and ingredients and flavors and cuisine to the table. Our case is sometimes, okay, how can you use a local ingredient in a very, unique and different way that never have been used by Filipino cuisine? So I think that's our role. And that is what we do. It's just to change the perception of something that never have been used in that particular way.
Okay. Next question is, and I think that's all the time we have right now. So thank you very much, Chef.
Okay, thank you.